Good morning, everyone. I don't typically sound like a baritone, so if you can suffer through my 6-year-old cold as they set the clock for me here to discuss you. First off, it's an honor to be here and have the opportunity to address such a remarkable group of people, of innovators and leaders in the tech industry. And I also want to, of course, thank Wayne and Melinda. It was about 2 years ago that I met Wayne and Melinda at the Galvanize campus in Soma. And they talked about what they want to do, about being a catalyst for change, and their idea of building a more inclusive opportunity. And I said, what do I need to do to help? That was about 2 years ago, and I'm pretty impressed with where we've come, but we have a long journey ahead of us. I think the opportunity to talk about, inclusion is one that's relevant anytime. But I do think it's even more relevant now, particularly when so much of the discourse in the media, our political discourse, is about exclusion. We're at a time where people are playing off of people's fear and not talking about where we are as humanity. We are indeed a very unique species on this planet. In fact, what makes us so unique is that we are collaborators, that we are humans. What makes us the most powerful is being together and working together and belonging. That is what makes us as a civilization more powerful. So I think there's never a more important time to talk about inclusion when the world is so focused in dominating around exclusion. So this morning, I wrote my 2 daughters an email. I have 3 children, 2 of my oldest, which are young women. They're 11-year-olds and 9-year-olds. And I wrote them a note, and I actually gave them the outline for my speech. And I said, I really want you to know, 1, what I was doing this morning, and 2, that you would be proud. And I wanted to know that I was working really hard to shape a better world that you will hopefully come of employment age in. And it was pretty timely because we were talking last night before I came into San Francisco about the news that came out in the World Economic Forum yesterday. Did anybody see this piece of news? They said it's going to take 117 years before women have gender neutrality in pay, that women are paid equally to men. That's unbelievable. That's absolutely, I don't know about everybody in this room, but I'm not that patient. And I don't think anyone in here should be that patient. And I hope for all of us, and for Chloe and Amelia, my 2 kids, in the future, that we're not that patient and that we work to build a much, much better place. And for that, I'm so honored that you're here and that the work that everyone in this room is doing. I'm going to take us a little tour through history on the few minutes I have here. Garrett Morgan. Anybody recognize that name? He created the gas mask. He was the creator of the early traffic light. He was an African American. Hedy Lamarr. Anybody know that name? Who is she? Woman. Silver screen actress.
Also the inventor of
wireless communication. She was an early pioneer in wireless communication. Frequency, exactly. She was a German immigrant and is also credited with inventions of helping take down the Nazis in World War II. The next one's obvious. Grace Hopper. Anyone at the conference last week? She was there. Grace Hopper was a vet. She went to the Navy, got to work on one of the biggest computers in the world, the UNIVAC, and then led the team that created COBOL, which still runs a big chunk of the planet today. She's a vet. Let's go more modern. Sergey Brin. I don't need to introduce who Sergey is, right? Russian immigrant. I just did a little skipping. I skipped a small pebble through the history of humanity. Each one of them are what we in this industry call the underrepresented: women, immigrants, veterans. It is a fact that over half of the companies, the tech companies in this country right now, valued at over $1 billion, were started by immigrants. So in a world, in a nation that has over 100 years of, I just took us through, of immigrants creating innovation and quality, why are we afraid of inclusion? It doesn't make sense. And for that, I applaud each one of you for being here. So obviously, what can we do? I created something called Galvanize to address this idea. It was my vision that anybody with the aptitude, drive, and determination should have an opportunity. That if you are able and you're willing to do the work, the upwardly mobile access in this world is to become an entrepreneur or to become an engineer or have some access to tech skills that are currently not available. And we have built paths in this country that have excluded most of the people. If you didn't go to a cushy school or you weren't born into the swellest zip code, those things are stacked against you. And the idea was, how do we build something that's inclusive, that we can allow more people access to skills and resources to have the chance to become a participant in this amazing industry that we are all part of and that we benefit from. So a good colleague of mine, I went for a bike ride with him. He's one of our faculty. Some of you had a chance to probably meet him yesterday. His name's Robert Murray. Robert Murray's an African American. He taught himself how to code in Jamaica by reading a book about it. His first job was hustling around Jamaica, helping elderly people learn how to use technology. He made his way to the United States, and we met him in Austin, where he became one of our best faculty. He immediately got involved in an African-American code incubator called Dev Inc. that runs on our campus in Austin, Texas. And on a bike ride, Robert and I got to know a lot of each other. We got to know, spend a lot of time. I'm a big cyclist. Robert likes to ride a bike. I think I did kick your butt still, but anyway, that's beside the point. And he's built cool sites for like Shaba Ranks. Anyway, Robert talks about signaling. We are, as a species, a visual species. And if you cannot see something, you typically don't know how to be that. And one of the things that we work really hard to do is to put opportunities in front of people that we can show them that there is a path, that we can show them that there's more to being part of the world. And I applaud Robert for his journey in what he represents to our community and to who we are. We've also had the great pleasure of working with a lot of folks in this room, including Aubrey, who was just here on stage, to help not just provide the signaling, but to provide the access. We've done more than just about $1 million in scholarships given by Atlassian, Airbnb, and others. But it's not enough. Thank you. We need to do more. We need to be extremely thoughtful and deliberate in everything we do and how we employ, what we employ, and what are the practices that we're doing to employ. If I asked in this audience, if you're in a managerial position, if you're hiring people right now, I guarantee I'll probably get every single hand up in the room. Of those jobs, how many of them require some level of computer science degree? If the answer is yes, you are part of the problem. That's the problem. That systematically works against people that have the aptitude, drive, and determination, but they were not born into a swell, cushy zip code that allow them to enjoy the intellectual pursuits of the wealthy and traditional higher education. I'm a huge fan of higher education. Do not get me wrong at all. But many people in this country, on this planet, do not have access to it, nor will they ever. We need to build alternative paths, and you need to be deliberate and thoughtful about what you're doing. I will posit one other thought. Thank you. Thank you. Some other crazy idea we came up with was not just about net new talent as you're recruiting people. What if you looked internally? What if you looked at other people in other parts of your organization, and what if you gave them the skills? Imagine a company that invested in its people. Imagine a company that identified high potential already within its ranks and modernized them to become a data scientist, a data engineer. I'm proud to say we are working with some really cutting-edge people that are addressing this and working on these exact challenges. Boy, time goes by really fast. There is a lot of challenges in this world, and this type of event is a catalyst to inspire them, to bring you all together. My goal today was to kick this off in a good way. And typically, for those of you that know me, I do have a lot of energy, even with a bad voice and my son's cold. But I hope that the rest of today, the rest of this week, that you leave here not just inspired, but you come up with that thoughtful, deliberate action plan. That you think about what you do inside your everyday actions that can make a difference, that can change the world, that will move things forward. When I started Galvanize, I always talked about, one of the hardest things about a little bitty company, and anybody that's been in startup land, which is where we are here predominantly, it's really hard to build momentum from a small spark. You constantly doubt yourself about what you're going to do and where you're going to go. And there was another amazing woman that inspired me as I researched and thought more about this. She was an anthropologist, and she said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." So with that, you are a small group of thoughtful, considerate citizens. I hope you become an incredibly large group that ripples through the world, that this, not just Twitter trends, but maybe, dare I say maybe, that we put the need for this event obsolete. Thank you very much.